Right, here we go. I can see over here I've got this little building, and you can see that this front wall over here, it must be touching the picture plane over there. That ridge over there, that's obviously the top of the roof part of this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out and I'm going to take out a line coming out over here, and a line obviously coming out at the bottom, line from the top of the doors over there, a line coming out from this window over here, a line coming out from the top of that window over there. Bring that down into the drawing over here. There it is. There it is. I have the door over here. That's this little part over here. That and that. And that lines up with that part over there. I've got this little window part over here, which I haven't done the bottom for. I'll take that across now. And that also links up with that part, so I must draw a line coming up from there, going up to there, and I can draw in the base of that. Because of all of this touching the picture plane, I can immediately draw that in dark onto the picture. Draw a line there, line there, a line there, line there, line there, and a line there, one over there, one over there. Finish that off with that line coming across over there, over there, over there, over there, and over there. Right, okay. I also have an edge over here. All right, there's an edge. I then have a little line coming back over here. It is the top of this thing. I'm going to just draw a line coming across there, line coming down there, line coming down there. Note I haven't done that in dark. That is done in construction lines. I'm going to take this part back now. I'm going to say that this roof is going back at an angle. Okay, so we're going to try and figure out what that's going to look like. I'm going to take a line coming up from the stationary point over here up to the horizon line, and we label that as VP, which stands for vanishing point. Right, once I've got that, I'm going to take some lines coming back from the top of this roof. Okay, so a line coming back from there to there, a line coming back from there to there. Okay, and I need to find those two corners on the roof. That's right at the top there. I'm going to take those down to the stationary point. So I take a line coming from that corner down to the stationary point, crosses over the picture plane at that point, and I drop a line down onto the line coming out from that corner. There it is. You can see how that links up with that. You'll note that that is parallel to the picture plane. Therefore, I can draw a line coming across over here, going to the other side over there. And I'm going to say they haven't given me another elevation, but I'm going to say that this is probably a sloping roof. So I'm going to draw a line going from there down to there, and from there down to there. Right. It continues through to that corner over there. So I'm going to draw a line coming from this corner over here off to the vanishing point. Going from there, going back over there. I then take a line coming from that corner over there down to the stationary point, coming down to the stationary point, cross it over the picture plane there. I drop that down onto my drawing over here, and I will draw a line coming down from there to there. Right, there's that slopey little roof. I'm now going to draw in this little garage before I continue trying to draw stuff on here. To get that, I need to take this across into the drawing over here. I'm just going to sharpen a pencil very quickly. Right, sharpen pencil. Take the information from this little garage across into the drawing. There it is. Line there, line coming across there, line coming across there. And once I've got that, I can then draw in the garage part of this thing. Goes from there up to there, and a line going up from there to there. Okay, once I've got that, take a little line coming from there, over there, and over there. There's the top of the garage part. Now, you'll see that I did not draw that in dark. Why? Because it's further back from that picture plane. I need to try and figure out how far back by doing that whole story, getting the lines off these corners. Right, I'm going to take lines from these corners over here, going back to the vanishing point from that corner over there, all the way back to there, and from that corner over there, and all the way back to there. You'll note that I always try and do the roof first, and then I do the bottom part. To get that corner over there, I'm going to take a line coming down from there, and a line coming down from there. Both of those lines going in the direction of the stationary point down here. Crosses over the picture plane, drop that down into the picture over there, and drop that down into the picture over there. Right, once I've got that, I can then draw in a little line going from that corner over there up to there. I can take a line coming back from this corner down at the bottom over here, going back to the vanishing point, and you'll see that I have the front part of this thing drawn in. And I now need to take a line going back from these two corners of the garage at the, there we go, from there, going back to there, and from there, going back to there. I have the front of the garage over there, and note that goes parallel to the picture plane over here, so I'm able to draw a little line coming across over there. I'm going to have another little line coming across over there. I haven't quite finished this off. I've got a line that I need to take back from that corner as well, going back, and I can then draw in that little piece over there. Right, once I've got that in place, I should be able to draw a line going straight up from that corner, meeting up with that point over there. Once I've got that in place, I need to draw in the height of the garage. You can see the two corners at the front over here. I need to take those back into the drawing. Let me just use a different color over here so that you can see it. Taking that corner from the garage, going back over there, from that corner of the garage, going back over there, and I can now draw a line going straight up from that corner up to there, straight up from that corner up to there, and if I've drawn accurately, that should link up perfectly over there. Right, I need to find that back corner over there and that back corner over there. So I need to take a line coming back down from that corner, from that back corner over there, coming down over here, links up with that corner over there, and down at the bottom, I'm going to draw in that line coming up over there, a line coming across over here, a line coming across over there. Now you'll note that this, I'm not going to draw a line going straight across. Reason being is that this thing is slanting. Okay, so it needs to slant up to a point over there. I need to find that point. You'll see I've got a line coming from there, coming down over here, continues down, and it hits that line coming out from the top of that, which will get me my slanting line coming down over there. Right, once I've got that, I then need to draw some lines coming from the corners. Remember, I'm standing on the left-hand side, so I'm going to be able to look into the door frames and the window frames from that vantage point. Here I go. I'm going to draw in a little line coming from that corner, coming out from that corner of the door, coming out just a little bit, from that corner of the window, just coming out a little bit, from that corner of the window, just coming out a little bit. I then find the depth of that window that goes in that distance over there, take a little line coming from that corner over there, and take a little line from that little corner over there for the door, drop that down into the drawing over here. There's the door. I can then draw in that door frame, take that little window over there, take that down, and I've got the window over there and the window over there, and I can draw in the window frame over there. That goes horizontal over there, so I need a line coming out horizontal over there, a line coming out horizontal over there. Note, I'm not going to draw a line coming out over there because it's flat over there. You don't have a line coming out over there. I'm going to just fix these ones up, draw that in dark, draw that. Okay, that's done. I need to take this little piece down from the corner of that door frame over there, drop that down. Sorry, that needs to come down into the picture plane, not just to the wall. There it is. Comes down to the picture plane over there. Drop that down onto there, and I can draw in that little line coming in there, giving me the door frame of this thing over there. I need to draw in that roof pod over there and a little line coming down over there, and that is that drawing done.